G'day guys, welcome once again to the Tripod. We're doing an in-person one this time. Jacob's visiting from the sunny coast, do it in person. So we'll be breaking down just the Thanksgiving games of the NFL. So just 3 games to get through today. Obviously, first things first, make sure you are in our group, the Tripod Punters Tips Forum. There's a link in the description to this video. And make sure you've downloaded the Tripod app. That's where we post all of our tips. So these Thanksgiving ones after this pod, and then obviously the rest of the NFL slate on Saturday after our pod at 10 a.m. Rough week last week. One of only 2 losing weeks that we've had on the NFL so far. So we'll look to bounce back. We have not had consecutive back-to-back losing weeks in the NFL. So certainly look to bounce back this week. And we like every single game of the Thursday NFL slate, so it should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be exciting, so that's why we thought we have to do a bonus pod. You guys know there's a game every Thursday in the NFL, which is sweet, and we haven't been doing a video for that. We usually just kind of put our heads together Thursday night. Do we like a side? If we do, we'll share some plays and we'll write a little description. But with 3 big games tomorrow and a couple other big topics. I mean, we had the game, potentially the regular season game of
Best
in history
I've
of the century in Rams Chiefs. So we want to talk about that. We had Valentine Holmes defecting from the NRL to the NFL. We thought we might as well wax poetic about that. And yeah, you mentioned terrible round for us last week. I mean, no hiding from that. But
it happens.
A lot of those losers, if you want to look a little bit closer, I mean, how many did we lose by half a point or by a point?
I think 5 lost by less than 2 points. So 1.5 points.
Sometimes those don't go your way. And look, that has actually really hurt our season winning clip. We're down to just under 55%. So we are only just straddling above the kind of break-even line. We're making a tiny bit of money this season. It's not where we want to be, but hey, at the end of the day, if we're betting on sports and we're enjoying ourselves and we're not losing money, and of course that's just the raw best bet record, but we're still well up when you count all our multis. We're lucky when we got hot at the right time.
Yes.
It all, all the games kind of lined up nicely, and when you hit 100 to 1 multi, you're going to at least have a bit of padding there.
And it's like, even after such a terrible round last week, we're still 55%.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone kind of aims for in order to make money.
And as you said, there's been 11 weeks we've only had a losing record twice, and we've never went back-to-back losing. I don't think we had a back-to-back losing weeks in the NRL. So,
no, we didn't.
And we do like sides in all 3 games. But before that, I hope that a lot of people got the chance to see it. And if you didn't, I mean, go back and watch extended highlights of this Rams-Chiefs game.
If people have been listening to us for NRL, I know a lot of people in the group are like, fuck, can't get into the NFL, it's so slow, it's so boring. Go watch that game and you'll dead set be converted.
Oh, and the thing about it was the Monday night game, standalone primetime game, and you know how often games have a huge build-up? These were the 2 highest scoring teams in the league. This is the latest in the season that 2 teams with a greater than a 90% winning record were meeting each other, so it had all the makings, but there's no guarantee it's going to end up being a great game. One team might just have all the breaks and run away, but it lived up to it and more. It was fucking insane, so if you didn't see it, 54-51 the final score to the Rams.
Madness.
I mean, it could have been a Super Bowl preview, but we do also have the New Orleans Saints. Probably those 3 are just fucking astronomical on offense this season. And from a betting perspective, we didn't share a best bet on the game. I liked the Rams, and we tried to actually play the Rams at -2.5 when the game moved to LA. The market moved just before we could post. People wouldn't have gotten on, so we had to pass. I would have still played the Rams -3. I know you were trying to talk me into the Chiefs +3.5, so we probably would have won.
We would have middled. We would have fucking middled if we got that Rams play out.
If I had agreed, we would have won on that. But I did feel the Rams, and really, depending on how you look at it, whichever side you were on, you probably feel you made a pretty good bet. I mean, the Rams, what I think is so crazy is putting up 54 points and the win when they lost arguably their best wide receiver, Cooper Kupp, ACL, for the season. No other team can lose that, one of their best wide receivers and put up 50 the next week. And the MVP candidate, Todd Gurley, who's been averaging, more than a touchdown, scoring every single game, putting up astronomical numbers. He was injured.
Yep.
Whether
ankle injury,
I'm not
they reckon.
Sure.
He'll be right.
Did he get hurt very early in the game, or was he injured going into the game?
Apparently he had a tiny injury going into the game, and they were trying to preserve it, obviously.
I saw very early in the first quarter, he got tackled going out of bounds. It definitely looked like they got him around the heel, ankle, I was thinking Achilles tendon. I could actually tell really early that he was a decoy for the rest of the game. They never gave it to him like they usually do. I've watched them every single week closely. So how the fuck does a team put up 54 points and win when your number one weapon, the best offensive player in the league, just about, barely touches the ball and is barely involved. That made it even more impressive. You've got to take your hat off to Jared Goff.
I'll tell you how. It's because your mate from the NRL, Josh Reynolds, stepped in for Cooper Kupp and did a great job there. So that's one NRL player that's defected and done pretty well over there in the off-season. So.
And we'll get to NRL.
What a game,
I wanted to make just one other point, that offense does rule in 2018. And you look at these teams, these superstar teams, the Chiefs, the Rams, the Saints. The Saints have one loss this season. It was the opening game of the season. They still scored 40 in the game they lost. The Chiefs have lost twice this year. They lost 43-40 to the Pats. They lost 54-51. They're putting up 40 and 51 in losses. The Rams only have one loss. They scored 35. So it's like, to beat these teams, that even when they lose, they score nearly 40 plus points. You have to be able to score so many points. And when you think about, in terms of futures, who might win the Super Bowl, it's like, I don't think you can make a good case for any team unless you believe that they can score with these sides, because it's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It's everything. It's a combination of they're getting intuitive, they're learning from college, the rules are changing, the way that the players play, the speed of the games. There's a lot of things that it's a perfect storm, and it's so entertaining to watch. Guys like Patty Mahomes, is fucking unreal. I mean, what do you have? 6 touchdown passes, and that Tyreek Hill is a video game wide receiver.
He is.
So,
it's crazy to think, like, because obviously this game was 63.5 total, and I mean, if these two teams met in the Super Bowl, you're going to be looking at a similar sort of total. And I remember when we lost a shitload of money on the Falcons when they played the Pats in the Super Bowl. That total, I think, was 56.5 or 57.5. And people were saying, that is crazy. Like, that's such a high total. Like, we're never going to get this again, like, in a Super Bowl. There is no doubt that it's going to be higher than that in the Super Bowl. But I like it. It's fun.
If the Saints end up there, and we're going to talk about the Saints, that is the bookend of the Thanksgiving slate. But, hey, one thought on Valentine Holmes leaving the Sharks, going to the NFL. Personally, I don't like it. And that is because, I mean, partly maybe I'm biased. I'm a staunch Queensland fan. I mean, Valentine Holmes was one of the superstars in the NRL last year. He was such a weapon for the Sharks, who were, a contender all year last year. Think about how awesome he was in those final series. At fullback, finally, we questioned whether he could play as an out-and-out fullback. He proved us wrong. He was a dead-set star, and with, talk about Kalen Ponga moving into the halves, Billy Slater retiring, that could have been the hit, Queensland, and even, Teddy's in the mix for Australia, obviously. But I just feel it's a bit of a shame that a player in the prime of his career, is lost to the game of rugby league. And my issue is, I wish him all the best, and I'll be rooting for him to succeed, just like I was with Hayne, in the NFL. And it's cool, and it gets more Aussies interested in the NFL. But it's just a different class of athletes over there. I mean, they got bloody like Olympic level track athletes, in the colleges coming through, competing for these kind of jobs, and there's not a lot of jobs to go around. And what people underrate is actually the knowledge of the game, how important it is, the schemes, the playbooks, pass protection. There are so many nuances. It is not as simple as, this guy's fucking fast and agile and can break tackles, so why wouldn't he succeed? I actually think Jared Hayne did actually even beyond what anyone could have expected in making a roster and getting touches in games. And even he was, essentially a third string.
Well, it's so cutthroat. Like, I mean, Hayne had a couple of games. He was okay. Like, he made one break at running back. And then, he's gone. But it takes so long. You're right. Like, these guys have been playing the sport since they were 5 years old. It takes ages, especially like for a running back, to be patient there, to read, what's going on, to hit holes, to know to dive forward when you're getting tackled. But, like, I just question, where the fuck is he going to play? Like, obviously you can rule out QB, you can rule out offensive and defensive line. You look at running backs, like, these running backs now are fucking awesome. Like, they're hitting holes, they're patient, they know exactly what they're doing. He's probably not big enough to be a running back, just to, burst through. So I don't think he can be that. Can he be a wide receiver? Like, yeah, he's fast, but he's not as fast as, like, these other wide receivers. He's not that tall. Maybe he can be a punt returner, but it's like, there's very little punt returners. There's very little space for punt returners in the league. I mean, half the teams just use someone on offense as their punt returner. That's right. So it'd be so tough.
If people don't know, I mean, you have 11 starters on offense, 11 on defense, and then a special teams unit as well, and you need backups in key positions. You can only activate 53 players, so punt return is a very specialised position, and very few teams have a guy who just solitarily does that. I mean, he could probably cover on kicks, and he could go and tackle people, but nobody can do that full time. You have to have a skill. I think running back is the position. I think he would try and do what Hayne did.
It's the only only one he could alluded to it.
I mean, he's been clocked at 4.6 running 40 yards, which is actually slightly below average for running back speed. Yes. And he is smaller than the best running backs in the NFL, so he has to actually add size but increase speed.
Right.
Easier said than done. Wish him the best, but it's a shame for rugby league. Shall we move to the games tomorrow? We've got best bets on all three, so let's go.
We do. We've got multiple bets on all three games. Kicking us off, and guys, remember, it's going to be 3:30 tomorrow morning. They're going to roll right the way through, 3 games back-to-back. So,
all on 7 May.
Yeah.
So you don't get that all the time.
Yeah, definitely. You only get, I think, one other free-to-air game per week. So, yeah, if you've got the Friday off, or if you call in late to work, make sure you watch these ones. First up, we got the Bears laying 2.5 points at the Detroit Lions. 43.5 is the total. So for me, injuries is the story of this game, obviously. So on the Lions side, obviously you've got Kerryon Johnson, who's been a monster for them lately. Jacob has him on his fantasy team, so he's injured, which is good news for me, not good news for the Detroit Lions. Still very thin at wide receiver, obviously. As we know, they lost Golden Tate early on in the season. Then Marvin Jones is going to miss this game as well. So Stafford running out of people to throw to there. But on the flip side, Trubisky looks like he's 99% not going to play this game. Reports out there are doubtful, some saying questionable, but the latest news is they've signed another QB off waivers now, so to act as a backup. It all points to him not playing, and certainly if by some miracle he plays, he's not going to be 100%. Everyone very, very high on the Bears at the moment. The Lions are used to this Thanksgiving game. It's going to be a huge crowd. It's sold out. They're selling additional standing tickets now for the Detroit Stadium, and I just think that win last week where the Panthers missed that 2-point conversion, like that just gives the Lions a little bit of hope now. It's a division game. If they win this one, there's still a chance to win the division for sure. So home field advantage. I think the Lions come into this one confident off the close win. I like the Lions in this one.
You know what else I like about that win last week is that the storyline out of that win in the Lions beating the Panthers as a big underdog was the Panthers' decision to go for 2. The storyline was nothing about the fact that the Lions beat a really good team and the Panthers were in a good spot there. I want to talk about Kerryon Johnson, the starting running back for the Lions. You mentioned he's on my fantasy team, but give me 60 seconds. I want to tell you about him.
60 seconds?
We've got a bit extra time.
All right, go on.
He's going to be a superstar of the league. People don't understand how good he is. You know who else doesn't understand? His own coach, because it took them the first 10 weeks of the season to actually make him the feature back. They were giving the ball at the goal line until LeGarrette Blount, big fat LeGarrette Blount,
fucking washed
up. Giving it to Theo Riddick. And in a way, because they've barely used him until the last month of the season, they can actually play without him because he has not been the, bell cow the whole season. But, I want to talk about college football because we only bet on 2 games last season and we bet heavily on those 2 games. We shared a bunch of play. We swept all our best bets, all our value plays. The first one was when an undefeated Georgia went into Auburn as a favourite, and we were all over Auburn. Yes. Auburn wins the games by 3 touchdowns. Who was on that Auburn team? And who dominated that game? Kerryon Johnson at running back. A few weeks later, when they played again, Georgia and Auburn, well, now Auburn was the favourite. Auburn had beaten Alabama, but Kerryon Johnson got injured right at the end of that game.
Yes.
So who did we bet on? We bet on Georgia as an underdog. Georgia won by 3 touchdowns. Speaking of Alabama, the fucking greatest college team ever assembled. They're fucking, they're buzzsaw through the league this year as they were last year. They've lost 1 game in the last 18 months. Who was that one loss? Who was that one loss against? Auburn.
Yes.
Led by Kerryon Johnson. He's the only team that has beaten Alabama in recent memory since Clemson beat him in that title game, like the 2016, maybe New Year's Day of 2017. Is a team that had Kerryon Johnson. And if he had been healthy and played in the SEC title game last year, they get to the playoff and everyone knows who he is and he would have gone a lot higher in the draft. But having said all that, he's not going to be playing in this one. I still have to take the Lions. Let's think about this as well. We bet on the Lions about 3 weeks ago when they played the Bears at Soldier Field, and we were taking the Lions plus 6.5. We may have got plus 7. It wasn't enough. They lost by about 12 points in that one.
Yes.
I think we have to take him again. You mentioned Trubisky doubtful with the shoulder, but the thing that gets me here, as great as the Bears are, and I respect them, and the defense is awesome and exciting to watch, and we got, we learnt the hard way on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings, where we had the Vikings, couple of narrow losses for us in that one. But to play Sunday night in the primetime game, and now to have to go on the road and play Thursday in the early game, that has got to be the shortest turnaround possible in the NFL. And we'd already talk about what a disadvantage road teams are at on a Thursday with travel, with preparation. I mean, that is asking a lot. That's what, 80 hours between games for this team. The Lions are still alive. You're catching points at home. You have to play Detroit and Motor City on Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, and we've got 3 plays on this one. The first one, we will just be taking the Lions plus 3 points. That one is $1.91 on BetEasy. Next up, we will be taking the Lions team total over 20 points flat. That's $1.85 on Neds. And thirdly, we'll be taking the Bears team total under 24.5. That one is $1.88 on Neds. Make sure you look around for that one because they've actually got 2 team totals on the Bears on Neds. One is a 23 flat at $1.92 and one is under 24.5 at $1.88, which is way, way better. I want to go back to your point about the short turnaround. That is a very important point for this one. There's such a short turnaround, and we know how home teams have done on Thursday night. I do think, however, for possibly the later games, this is just a brutal one because it's a late Sunday, turning around to the Thursday. This year especially, the Thursday home teams have done very well, and it's easy to see, right? You've got the shorter turnaround, the other team has to travel, not as much prep time, all that sort of thing. For Thanksgiving, I kind of have a theory that it's like not as much of an advantage to be the home team because you have all the distractions of family dinners and all that kind of shit going on. Whereas the road team can kind of just travel there. They know they're going there to play football, so it's kind of less of a distraction. But I agree with you. For the Bears, especially going from late Sunday to early Thursday, is definitely a disadvantage. Next up, we got the Redskins plus 7 points at the Dallas Cowboys. 40.5 is the total. Just brutal news for the Redskins last week. We all saw, if you did not see that, Alex Smith's leg bent into a position that a leg should never ever bend into. So he's gone for the season. They reckon a 6 to 8 month recovery, which is really brutal for the Redskins because they're top of that division. They've been winning close games, and we always thought they were kind of, a bit of a phony team, a bit of a phony 6-3 team. So they go down last week in a really close one. On the flip side, the Cowboys, 2 wins in a row now against 2 good teams. Everyone very, very high on the Cowboys. Dak Prescott's playing a little bit better. Obviously, Zeke is just being the monster that he is, just consistently getting over 100 yards rushing. And they're getting Amari Cooper into it a little bit more as well now. So this is a really, really intriguing matchup. Division rivals. It's a low total, but I think it's a low total for a reason because we know what the Cowboys are going to do. They're going to run the ball with Zeke. We know what the Skins are going to do. They've got a banged up O-line, but they've got no receivers to throw to, and they've got a backup QB in there, so they're going to run the ball as well. And it all leads us to just a low-scoring, grinded out, heavy run game kind of game. In this division matchup.
Yeah, if you look at the way that the Skins have played recently, they lost 23-21. So that game actually went over the total last week because the total closed
a rare one for
41. Them. And the crazy thing about that game, we were on Houston in that one. We were looking absolutely sweet. The score, I think Houston takes that intercept, pick 6, and builds a lead, something like 17-3, 17-6. They were up 20-14 in the fourth quarter when the Skins actually went on a drive led by Colt McCoy, who's going to be their starting QB for this one. As you mentioned, Alex Smith with a brutal broken leg. They scored a touchdown. Adrian Peterson turning back the clock.
Yes.
Took a lead 21-20. We had the Skins to score under 20.5. So that cost us the best bet by half a point. That was the first lead change in any Skins game in 2018. So in the previous 11 weeks, there was never a lead change. So what that meant was if the Skins fell behind, they lost every game. If they got the lead, they kept it every game. And that makes sense because they're good front runners. They can run the ball, they can control, they can wind that clock down, they can get first downs, and they actually play good defense. So that was even more unlucky for us that they actually came back with a shitty O-line and a backup QB. And
we were a missed Texans field goal away from
the
covering
Texans
too.
won the game by 2 points, and we were laying -2.5. Yet another, bad beat. You flip those two, that's a 4-bet swing, whether it's 2 winners or 2 losses. But that's the story with the Skins. Now, as for the Cowboys, what a resurgence. They were getting shit heaped on them when they lost that game, and we were on the Tennessee Titans Monday night. That was a must-win for the Cowboys. They blow the game, lose by 14 points. People are saying Garrett's got to go. Is Dak Prescott the answer? Look at what's happened in the last 2 weeks. You've had Philly have back-to-back losses. You've had the Skins lose a game we just mentioned, lose their starting QB. You've had Dallas beat the defending Super Bowl champions on Sunday Night Football convincingly, and then back that up which was the surprise to us, going into Atlanta, and you have to give them credit. The way this defense is playing, Jalen Smith is fucking balling up. This Van Der Esch, who went to your...
He went to my college.
Alma mater, as they say. The linebacker, he is replacing Sean Lee, and DeMarcus Lawrence is a weapon on the defensive line. This defensive unit is completely legit. They held the Falcons to 1 touchdown in a game the Falcons needed to win. So I massively respect the way that Dallas are playing. You mentioned the offense is better too. Zeke, Dak, and the addition of Cooper. So I do think that the Cowboys probably win this game, but I think they know they're most likely gonna win, and this could be for the division now. The winner of this game will take a division lead with the way that Philly is playing. Looks like the winner of this game wins that division, gets a home playoff game. So neither of these teams probably thought that was going to happen. A few weeks ago. But we do see a game where both teams want to control the ball and run that clock, and where neither team's going to necessarily light it up. 2 good defensive units, so we got an underplay or a couple of underplays.
In fact, we have 3. First up, we will be taking the Cowboys team total under 24.5. That one's $1.80 on Bet365. Next up, we'll be taking under 7.5 points in the first quarter. That one is $1.80 on Sportsbet. And then thirdly, we will just be taking the match total under 41 flat. That best price for that is $1.87 on Sportsbet. Back to your point about the division, I actually texted Jacob about this during the games, and obviously you see Alex Smith go down. They look like they're going to lose the game. The Cowboys are in a close game with the Falcons, and I was just kind of searching around my betting apps for different division odds and that kind of thing. And I basically only have one bookie that I can still bet with. The game's finished. The Skins lost. The Cowboys won. Philly had lost. And I could still get $3.50 on the Cowboys to win that division. They're now $1.60, so you've got to always be aware. Next up, this should be the most fun game with the most offense of the Thursday games. We've got the Falcons plus 12.5 points at the New Orleans Saints with the total at 59.5. What can you say, I guess? Like, the Saints are obviously, one of those top 3 best teams in the NFL, and you could make a case that they are the outright best team in the NFL. That offense is just an absolute juggernaut. Drew Brees is rightfully so the favourite for the MVP race, but you've got that backfield with Kamara and Ingram just absolutely tearing it up, and like I said last week, Michael Thomas, who just doesn't drop catches. On the flip side, though, this Falcons offense is actually very, very solid. They're having some trouble. Julio Jones wasn't getting touchdowns early on. He scored a touchdown in 3 games straight. Matt Ryan is still a very, very good quarterback. So that offense is still, in my mind, like a top 6 offense. What the issue is that the Falcons have one of the worst defenses in the league. They're like 29th in the league in defense, in total defense, and they're bad against the pass as well because they've just had so many brutal injuries to that secondary and that defensive unit as a whole. But let's not forget, right? So this Saints team, everyone's going on about how their defense has gotten much better. Yes, their rush defense is like top 3 in yards per play in the league, but their passing defense is bottom 4 in the league, and that's using advanced metrics. The Falcons, they can't run the ball. Obviously, they lost Freeman, their running back for the season, so they're passing the ball way more. So that is their strength. Obviously, that's the Saints' weakness. I think there's going to be a heap of points in this one, and we like the Falcons as well. I think they can stick with them with their offense and pass it around. And worst case scenario, they're down 14 or 17 late, and we can get ourselves a backdoor cover.
They could be down 20 late.
They could be down 20 late
with the markets that we've found.
That's true.
Look at the Saints. In our preseason preview, we gave out the Saints 19-1 to win the Super Bowl. We love the fact they were going all in with the trades they made, the acquisitions they made, the way they were set up, how close they got last year. They opened the season with a home loss to the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Next week, they were lucky, very lucky, to sneak home against the Browns. So they didn't cover that game, but they did win. Since then, 8 more straight wins. 8 straight covers, which is not easy to do. It's not easy to cover the line every week when you're such a public team and a fun team to bet on like the Saints. I mean, that is insane. And
the chance of that is like less than 2% or something.
Yeah, and they're killing people on both sides of the ball. I mean, the last couple of weeks putting up close to 50 points. Like
they've been averaging like 45 points over the last
in Cincinnati, and what they did to the Super Bowl champs in Philly. And then on defense, they held Cincinnati to, I think, 10.
Yes.
I think they held Philly to about 7 points last week. So on both sides of the ball, they're destroying people. But I mean, it's hard to keep that up every single week. And again, on a short week, we do respect the Falcons and their ability to move the ball in this one. Mm-hmm. And they still actually have weapons on offense. It's the defense that's beat up. So we don't really know how many points the Saints might score in this one. Their team total is anywhere between 33.5 to 36.5 points, which is astronomical. But you saw on Monday that teams can do it these days. But we like the Falcons. Now, the concern with them would be that, at 4-4, roughly whatever their record was, they then lost to Cleveland, and then they lost a heartbreaker to Dallas at home, and now maybe they feel like the season's over. But I think they are still in the hunt for the wild card because there aren't any teams in the NFC separating themselves, and it's primetime Thanksgiving. I think they put up a good showing, and I think they go and be bloody aggressive. They'll come out, throw the ball, even fucking go for it on 4th down. Why not? If you punt to this Saints team, it's points going back the other way. So let's go balls to the wall and let's air it out, play in a dome. I mean, last time these two teams played, it was 43-37 overtime earlier in the season, where the Saints got up in the Georgia Dome. So these teams can both score, and Absolutely. I think that's why we've got some value in the best bets for this one.
Yeah, I really like these three plays actually. Before I move on to that, Ron's asking about the total in the Skins-Cowboys game. Look, we found under 41 flat on Sportsbet at $1.87. So obviously play that one if you can. But yes, what you're asking, I would take under 40.5 at $1.95 rather than sacrificing 20 cents there for half a point. The three plays on the Falcons game will be the Falcons team total over 23.5. That is $1.90 on Bet365. We're going to take the Falcons plus 13.5 points. That's $1.84 on BetEasy in the pick your own line or whatever it's called there, the alternate line market. So take the 13.5 there with the Falcons at $1.84. And we will take the Falcons team total over 10.5 points in the first half. That is $1.89 on Sportsbet. And that will wrap it up. So what's that? Yeah, 3 plays on each game for Thursday night. And yeah, I mean, we're trying to go against history here because we have been, historically, very, very bad in primetime games this year on Thursdays and on the Monday games. So we're looking to turn it around this week, but haven't had back-to-back losses this year at all, so hopefully we're not going to start this week.
And I mean, if I think back to last year, we were actually slow starters. The first 10 or 12 weeks, we were actually straddling 50% winners, which is making a slight loss. And then once we got clear of all the rugby league tournaments, just like that, rugby league series between England and New Zealand wrapped up, a fortnight ago, we came home with a wet sail 60% all the way through the end of last season and playoffs. Look to do the same again this year, and hopefully, string a few more multis too.
Yeah, and I think as well, just because we've admitted this as well. We're no personnel experts, but what we are good at, like especially in the NFL, like we know all the players obviously in the NRL. We're not personnel experts in the NFL, but what we do know how to do is find value and find really good situational and motivational spots. And I think what happens as the season progresses is it's kind of you have more opportunities to find those kinds of plays because you've got teams that won't be motivated, will be more motivated, are out of the playoffs, have had a dream-crushing loss where the next week they're completely mathematically eliminated for the playoffs. So as we kind of go towards the back end of the season, more opportunities like that are going to come up where, you're just going to get additional value from good situational spots pretty much.
And the next opportunity to grab those opportunities will be Saturday. We'll still be back Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to obviously preview the remainder of the Week 12 slate. We better let you guys get back off your lunch break.
Indeed.
Get back to it, but enjoy the footy tomorrow. We'll do a punting 101 as well on our page tomorrow, 5 p.m. Queensland time. So thanks for tuning in, guys, for this bonus pod, and good luck. Let's get back on the winning track tomorrow.
Yep, see you 10 a.m. Queensland time on Saturday. Same page.
There you go.